What's up, guys? It's me, Crystal Pokedude, here with another thing. Now, this is a new thing I'm starting to where I do a fan rewrite, kind of how I would rewrite a series or a season of a show. And yeah, this is the first attempt. I don't really have a name for this series. If you guys have names for this series in the comments, I'd love to hear them. But yeah, first up, I'm doing Star vs. Season 3, because Star vs. Season 3 kind of went all over the place. It did some things that were kind of inconsistent with itself, and I'm just gonna straighten some things out with what I think the plot needs. So without further ado, let's go. So the first thing we need to cover is Battle for Muni. Battle for Muni, I don't really have to change much. Battle for Muni was a pretty solid set of episodes, but I am going to change a few things about it. Now, number one, there's a bit of a rewrite. The first big change is that there's going to be a semi-scene that basically is just like a short scene with Moon and Toffee kind of bonding in a market. Like, they don't say a word to each other, just like Toffee stealing stuff from a market because he needs to survive, and Moon's just sort of, yo, let him go. So they do, and that's pretty much the point of that scene. Everything plays out pretty normal from that point on until, and then we have the same amount. It's just sort of adding a bit more impact when she meets Toffee as a general. That gets a few years back, but cutting forward, we have the next big change is that River, when he gets levitadoed, it just sort of dies. He doesn't come back on the Eagles. He's dead. And I feel like that was a good character ending for River, because, let's be real, what much has River done since Battle for Muni? He had Bog Beast to Bogaba, which this is a rewrite, and that episode won't be here. Because I'm changing some of the episodes. Some episodes I'm leaving, some episodes I'm scrapping in place for new episodes. Basically, the rule of this series is I kind of have to keep the same overarching plot and villain, but other than that, I can change most of the stuff. But yeah, River dying seems like it kind of needs to happen. So, the next change is later down the line, we have some more developments with all this and all that, and it's basically pretty the same. But then at the very end, okay, so when Star comes back and creates a new unicorn for the wand in Battle for Muni, rather than, that kind of solves all the issues with the Fritz, but in this version, it basically makes things a whole lot worse. Like, sure, it revives the Magic High Commission, but that's like the only thing it does. It pretty much breaks magic further, which I'll develop later. And then the final point is Ludo, rather than getting thrown into a portal, he just sort of runs off. He's not in his own little portal dimension, and I'll get to where he is later. But that's pretty much a Battle for Muni, and not time to get in. Those were the 7 episodes. It sort of stays the same within those bounds, except those few things are changed. Now getting into the actual episodes. So, the first episode you gotta write is the episode where Marco tries to get home. Keyword is tries. So the first episode that's significant aside from Battle for Muni is episode 8, Portal Danger. And basically, you know how I said Star coming back from the dead did more problems than it fixed? Yeah, well, that caused portals to go on the Fritz. Marco's dimensional scissors are pretty much useless now, and he can't get back to Earth. Now, I know he had his whole arc back on Earth, but let's be real, he was kind of a jerk in ways. He's just like, yo, I'm back. No, I'm gonna leave you again. Peace. It just sort of messes with Marco's character. And that's really pretty much it. Like, the Magic High Commission's like, you came back from dead and you murdered the portals, and now the portals aren't working. The Fritz is getting worse, and we gotta do something. Meanwhile, Marco's just like, I can't get back. Sorry, guys. So, Marco and the Magic High Commission go off and do their thing with Marco, trying to see what happened to the portals. Meanwhile, we have Club Snubbed, basically, which is episode 9. Pushed it forward a bit. And basically, I've retitled it Silver Bell Ball just because Club Snow. It's kind of downplayed Ponyhead a bit. But yeah, basically, it's the same episode as before. Downplay Ponyhead a bit. Like, you can have some of her, but we don't need much. And that's pretty much what that episode is. Then the next episode kind of takes the place of what Lekmit's funeral was, and it's Where the River Lies. And this is another Ponyhead episode, but it makes sense for it to be a Ponyhead episode. So, Star is basically mourning her father, and she's like, he's not dead. And everyone that's having a funeral, they're just like, he's dead. Just accept that he's dead. So, Star runs off, and Ponyhead's like, I'm gonna follow you anyway, because I feel like it. And so, they run off, and then Tom has to go after her, because Marco's still busy with the whole portals stuff. And so, this is basically what finally confirms Tom Star. Like, Tom Star is one of the things I have to follow since it's one of the overarching plot points. So I kind of have to do it. And this is kind of what truly starts Tom Star. It's this episode of Tom trying to get Star to accept that her father's gone. And that's kind of where their bonding goes from. And it develops from there, and there's just development there. So, yeah. Moving on. Next episode is a kind of two-parter, which is just 2 episodes with basically parallel names. So episode 11, New Face, Old Problems, and episode 12, Old Face, New Problems. So, episode 11, New Face, Old Problems, is where Eclipsa shows up. And this is what takes the Magic High Commission's eyes off the portals, and they're like, whoa, you back! We're gonna get... This is what brings Marco back into the plot, because Marco, as of recently, has just been trying to fix the portals with them, but this is what pretty much sidetracks him from that and basically gets him into the whole Squire stuff. And I think this is the episode that sets up his squiring. But yeah, they set it up right here with basically the Magic High Commission ditching him in his pursuit to get home so they could focus on Eclipsa. And then Old Face, New Problems is where Glossaric comes back and he's all glitched out. That's pretty much the premise of this one. Because I think in New Face, Old Problems, they're like super close to getting a lead back on the portals, but then they just completely drop everything to get Eclipsa. Old Face, New Problems, Glossaric's return, and he's doing his Globgores. He's actually broken this time. Like, it's not any foreplay. He's actually broken this time, and it'll be fixed later on. Or rather, his brokenness isn't just going to be I was doing this all along because that basically was a crappy reveal. Anyway, episode 13, Underworld Express. Basically, this one's kind of a filler and also develops Tom and Star because it's another Marco's birth. It's kind of a substitute for Lava Lake Beach. It's the Marco's birthday episode, and then Star's like, I got you covered, but then she has to run off with Tom because there are some people using the underworld as a form of travel. Kind of like, because everyone's like, well, we used to use dimensional scissors, but since those are broke, we kind of gotta substitute, so we're gonna use the underworld. And it kind of just sets up some stuff with that. And, like, you even get a few moments of Marco and Eclipsa bonding, which is kind of a fun pairing. The next episode, the first episode that truly focuses on Marco's squiring, is episode 14, To Scream in Silence. Marco doing his night stuff, coming back from them, he just decides to take one of the Vow of Silence, because that's kind of one of those things that forces him to progress as a squire. And while he's doing this, Heinous shows up. And Heinous is tormenting him, but Marco can't say anything, otherwise he breaks the Vow of Silence. So, this is where you finally get some Tom and Marco development in this season. Because Tom's like, I see what you're going through. I've got some anger management tips. We gonna make this work. So that's kind of the development there. That's pretty much the point of that episode. It also reintroduces Heinous into the plot, which, being the main villain, I kind of had to do. Next up is episode 15, Guru Glitch, which is basically Star trying to revamp Glossaric all the way. Like, this full episode is spent on trying to fix Glossaric and all that development. It's focused on that. The next episode, Princess Turdina, is purely the same as before. Like, you're just ripping this out from the old series and inserting it here. Like, maybe a few minor changes here and there, but other than that. Episode 17, and this is a new plot point entirely. Mirrors from Muni. Star discovers Jana stole one of her mirrors while she was on Earth. And this is kind of establishing a connection back to Earth. Because, since there's no way to go back to Earth, this mirror that Jana stole from Star is literally the only way they can get back to Earth and connect. So it's pretty much establishing this connection and trying to try everyone to see, like, oh, this is working, that's cool. Now we get some lore stuff. Episode 18, Monster Love. Eclipsa retells how she first met her monster love. It's very similar to the Blood Moon Ball. I feel like it needs to be similar to the Blood Moon Ball because Star and Eclipsa have been said, oh, they're so much alike, they're so much alike. I feel like them falling in love has to be very similar also. Now, this is probably the most filler episode, but it's also really comedic. Uncle Ludo. Ludo moves in with Buffrog and is basically calling himself the uncle of the babies. And this works for a number of reasons. It's just nice foreplay with it, because he kind of gives off this Iroh impression of being a wise uncle. And see, it's not one of those person moves in with another person and kind of ruins their life cliche. Now, the real tension of this episode comes from the fact that Ludo's not doing any bad stuff. It's just like, who are you and what have you done with Ludo? Okay, now we get into the deep stuff. Sweet Dreams, basically the same as before. A few changes here and there. And the biggest change about it is that they're kind of trying to work in with the portaling stuff. So it's kind of, Marco's more pushing towards it so he can finally see if he can get back home. So it's kind of like that. Then in the next episode, everything's changed. Marco finds out that Star has the mirror back on Earth, that Jana has the mirror, and he's trying to check in on everyone, and it's like, he's basically seen that everything's changed back on Earth without him. And I feel like there's a moment at the very end where he's like, everything's so different than the way I left it. And then Eclipsa's like, because he runs away, and Star's like, wait, and Eclipsa's like, I got this. And that's like Marco and Eclipsa bonding, because you gotta set up a season 4 villain, and it's gonna be one of those two. Possibly both in this version. But yeah, that's kind of setting it up. Episode 22, Brother. Dennis finds Ludo with Buffrog and tries to get him to come home. Another filler episode, but it's trying to lower some of the tension. Now we get to the big stuff. Episode 23, Inner Demons. Tom gets uptight again after being better, which prompts Star to try to help him. This is kind of just like Demasism, but it's not, and it's kind of like his final test with all the anger management stuff. And they brought in someone, I don't know who they're going to bring in, but they're going to bring someone that makes him more mad than Marco does. And he's kind of got to overcome this issue, and it's like really bad stuff with him. We're getting to the last 2 episodes, so episode 24, Deep Dive. And see, Deep Dive is about Star. It's the same as before with the whole, we're finally going to find out what this means. But it's really Tom's whole revelation of fixing all of his problems that makes Star like, I gotta fix my problems too. So adds a bit of depth to Tom Star right there too. And I'm forced to do this because it's one of their key plot points. But yeah. Now the biggest change about the episode is that since there's no Jana, and presumably since Star left all of her stuff on Earth, because Jana got a hold of one of her mirrors. There's no spell book either. So Eclipsa takes the place of Jana, and rather than holding up the pages of the spell book, she teaches Marco the all-seeing eye right on the spot. And it's just sort of a, boom, I can teach you this, but you gotta know there's some dangers with this. And Marco's just like, let's just do this and get this over with. And that's how that happens. And finally, Monster Bash. Basically the same, except we hint at Ruberia X Fool Duke, so it can happen later. Like, that whole wedding was just sort of out of nowhere. So we tease it right here, so it can become canon later. And that's all the episodes of this made-up season. At least the first half. I can do the other 15 at another date. I'm in the works on it right now, but I'm not doing the full thing right now. This is season 3A. Hope you guys enjoy. Please leave a like, subscribe. I really need more subscribers. And I've been pacing back here a good 16 minutes while rattling this off. So yeah, please subscribe if you want a part 2. And anyway, that's going to do it for this time, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.